Ladies and gentlemen, Nyaya iri kuramba ichitsviridza streets. Nyaya advocate Fadzayi Mahere na honorable minister Tino Machakaire from ZANU-PF. Saka muri kungoziva kuti already vanhu ivava vagara vatori marivals pakuti uyu ndewe opposition party, uyu ndewe ruling party. Tino Machakaire ndiye minister of youth, ari zvekare mukuru wemayouth chaiye kuZANU-PF kwacho ikoko, ari zvekare member of parliament. Advocate Fadzayi Mahere vanozikana kuti vanga vari former spokesperson we-Citizen Coalition for Change, MDC Alliance, vanojambira ku-Citizen Coalition for Change, and ndobva vaita zvekare member of parliament kubva kudhara, but iko zvinezvi vari lawyer vanomirira vanhu anongoziva nyaya dzacho dzinenge dzichiitika. Saka iko zvinezvi chaakunetsa ndechekudai so panyaya yepakuchinjana kwaitika mashoko, Advocate Fadzayi Mahere ndo pari kunzoni is it necessary apa kana kuti zvaitwa naTino Machakaire akakwana here, and Tino ari kutemba chii? Vamwe vari kuti vari kutemba kuti these guys they have confidence pane majudges nevamwe vanhu vavo vese vavanoshanda navo ivo kuti case ikangoda kubuda yakadai so inozonoenda yakunobhenda yakadaro, because pari kutaurwa nyaya pari kunzi this guy ari kunyatsoziva kuti nyaya idzi akange asinganingiringina aita zvekutobvunzwa like unoona nyaya inoya ari maquestions kuti is it true kuti paipai makazodai makadai, zvakafanira kuti unongonzi aiwe ko is it true kuti wakarambwa, chero vanhu vachiziva kuti wakarambwa, chero kauzoti aiwa muri kufambisa nyaya dzekunyeba, but unenge wabvunzwa uri mubvunzo kuti is it true kuti wakarambwa, kana kuti wakabatwa nechikomba iwe is it true kuti wakabatwa nechikomba. It's like munhu anenge asina kunanga straight, chero nyaya iri yechokwadi zvakangofanira kuti unenge wasangana kana journalist mazihombe akaita sana kuliendi sanani nevamwe mazijournalist anenge achikubvunza mazimubvunzo ekukubohwa wobva wati ndoda kukusungisa kuti wandibvunzire chizi mubvunzo iroro. Wazviona ndo same situation yatiri kuona iri kuitika pana Advocate Fadzayi Mahere panapa naTino Machakaire. Saka vanhu vari kuti Tino akadzidza kupi zvaari kunzi auda kusuwa munhu pane nyaya dzakadai so aidini ndakangomirira. Unoziva kuti nyaya kana ichinge yasvika ipapapa unosvika pachikamu chekunyatsonzwisisa kuti ameno pachashandisirana advantage ndo zvaunotanga kungofila. But let's watch the space. Nhasi ndinoda kusiya makateerera something pari kupisa pari hot utongoteerera wakadzikama. If you have something to say pamusoro penyaya iyoyo unoona ungondibata unondibata tomboconnectawo panapa tombonzwawo kuti iwo unotiwo kudii pamusoro penyaya yacho, because chiri kuzonetsa nje kuti Tino Machakaire pane statement raakazotaura achitaura kuti zvoni koyoka une yako yekuti wakanoruwa one night standing ka ukazoita kuti utengerwe jagwa pa one night jagwa. Ayinoziva kuti nyaya yacho iri kupisa. So pama arguments ari kuzoitika vanhu vari kuti aiwa Mahere asi munhu kuti anobva ku poor family and nezera raari neprofession yake hapana pekuti angatadza kuafforda kuzvitengera mota. Uri kuona ndo nyaya imwe yanga iri kutaurika. Even advocate Tabani Mpofu au advocate vanova vanomirira advocate nezvochamisa kana dzanyaya dzematongerwo enyika vakabudawo vachisapota Fadzayi Mahere in terms of nyaya idzodzo vakati zvimwe zvese taura zvenyu, but pane apa munhu wekuti anoshanda nesimba and haangambotadze kuafforda kutenga yake mota. Uri kuzoona ndo nyaya iri kunera. So ndisati ndaplaya, ndisati ndaconnecta, ndisati ndatanga kunzwisai kana wabata ZANU-PF nenzeve ikoko ubva wairovera pasi watoo mufesi wangu. Nyaya iri panapa yakadai so maZimbabweans kune vanhu vari muSouth Africa uchida kuregisterwa company vavhurwa FNB business account. Zvinhu izvo zviri easy. Pane mufesi anonzi Owen Garawambata ndiye akachimaster and ndiye anogona kuvhurira FNB business account zvisina kukundikana. Ndozviziva kuti muri kuchema nemaproblems ekuti muri kuti hamuna mabank account, muri kuchema kuti hamuna makampani amuri kukwanisa kuregister nekuti hamuna mawork permit kana kuti mastard permit. Zvaakuitika as long as une passport chete nemufesi anonzi Owen wandauya naye nenhamba dzandaisa pascreen. Garawambata kuti Owen ndaudzwa nakuliendi kuti wakatochipa padhiri racho ndiitiriwo zvangu. Unongoziva kuti handizotaura ngumari kuti ari kuchaja mari because anozotadza kurara futi makungomuti iwe wazodai iwe zvazodai. Saka contact Owen on the numbers that are showing on the screen. Zvinhu zvako zvobva zvaita se zvobva zvatosotwa zvotokufambira. Zvamanje teererai munzwe zviri kutaurika mastreets esocial media pamusoro panyaya yaAdvocate Mahere naTino Machakaire. Wozondiudzawo kuti iwewe uri kumhanya nani. Icho
Fadzayi is doing very well and she's tackling one by one. Auya wese anokuzora kuna Mahere, and she's doing what we are supposed to do. We are supposed to ask those simple questions and we need answers. Kana pasina ma answers, there should be something done. Ukaona izonzi kuAmerica munato impeachiwa or ku UK munato itwa so because they failed to do something which needs public attention. Very simple. Because that's the reason why you are there. You are there for us to ask you questions and to tell you, Guti, iwe, tell it here by a fire. You're like a plumber, a contractor. Ukoya pamba. No, Johnson. I want you to fix my sink. How long can you do it? And tell me what you need. Then you do it and you say, I've done it. Ndapedza. That's what they should do. And Mahere is someone wokuti zveshuwa akapinda mukampa a position in a government, she will do it. That's her behavior. You need to study someone, her consistency, pamapost ake, and she's always active, and she always come with a post to represent Zimbabweans. Those are the people at Tinoda, honestly. Whether I'm not going to meet a president, but you need to test that lady, put a position. I'm sure. Shit.
Right.
Sorry. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Ndakanganiswa nemunhu angaida kufona
No,
panapa. I don't know if you can still hear me.
Go ahead and let we can hear you. We can hear you.
Hello?
Trukunzwa.
All right. Yeah. So let me again. Did you painter and we Mahere we need to pane statement rukutaura pa social media unzanzi we need to protect her with because one, she's a lady, one, and she doesn't come ne group achiti vanhu inzwai zvandikutaura. No, she will just say it straight away and say, and she's smart the way she expose people and the way she does it, because she sezvataura kunzi she act like a question. Izvo zvandikati haangochedzi murunzi makabaka imi. You can't attack me. You need to think how you can attack me if I ask you that question. And she is doing it well. So let me just stop and let other people comment.
Right. No, thank you, my brother, for those very, very important questions that you're asking. I mean, why would a minister get angry and defensive, honestly, and personal, just over simple constitutional questions? Why? Kazhinji kuvhunduka chati inonzi tsumo yacho ndogona kuzotaura serizvo, right? Iyoyo tsumo yekuti kuvhunduka something unenge unekaturikwa, because you just feel if nothing was stolen, just answer. If the money was well spent, just show the receipts, go ahead. If you are clean, there's no need to panic. This idea of silencing questions, it won't hide the truth. So questions need to be asked and questions need to be responded, right? Before I go to the next one, Tatenda Ongoga Sumza Rogo, I know Wambutara Bekutanga. You want to come quickly, then I go to Ndini, Zimbabwe.
Thank you, Uncle Titus. What I want to quickly say is, munozati chiri kutya ana Machakaire. As many have said, Machakaire was able to purchase expensive cars at his early ages when the country was so bad. Takazoda kuita yatinoti kulo unveiling the corporate veil to dig deep the source and background yemafunds ake, we may find out kuti he was fronting for someone from the early ages akatanga kuita makampani ake. So in more or less in ake ma fallacies, while Mahere were more of ma factualities, ma facts really supported with evidence. Because Mahere was just going straight to dig. All your nema questions are guided. Asiri ma personal attacks, and this is the caliber of ZANU-PF leadership. Kuti majority of them, that's why you see in other jurisdictions, sorry to say, they require parliamentarians to at least have a law degree, even wakazoita an engineering degree, so that you are able to understand the law and the policies of the country that you are going to be using. And when you are held to account, you won't feel offended and being defensive in a personal way rather than factual, because you have to be defending yourself with facts based on questions that are asked to you. And Mahere will never have been a lecturer asina kuverenga more than 4 or 5 textbooks, the law of contract alone. Could the understand of law of contract in Zimbabwe and other different jurisdictions to be a lecturer that use it, you need to be schooled. I have my colleagues now uni who are now lecturers back home. Those guys, I respect them because they are even people who write documents that are in the public domain. Same with Mahere. That woman, she doesn't just come and attack someone without having done a homework and gather information that puts people in compromised positions. So, as Zimbabweans, it's now our homework to align ourselves with that path. I can safely say, yeah, the CC, yeah, the Mahere, and the BT, and we were in one parliament. Definitely, it was going to be rough for ZANU-PF because those guys are people who argue with facts, who put matters in principle to say, yes, this is what you are blabbering, but this is what is there. This is what you have done. Defend yourself. Respond to these questions. Which is what is ZANU-PF? ZANU-PF is anti-criticism. Anyone who pushes them in a tight corner, the only defense they have is violence. Their violence comes in different forms. It can be physical violence, it can be abuse, or it can be to suppress you or to attack your family. Which right now, for instance, to say Mahere was smuggled into studying a law degree when she didn't have the required A-level results. Was Mahere the one that told the dean of the law faculty to use it to enroll her? So should I suffer for the sins of my father? If it was the case, a lot of vana vevanhu vari muzanu-PF dai takatovatorera kama-assets. Oh, it's what we are going to wait for. The day, even if it's our grandchildren or our children, to take everything that would have anyone anema roots nezanu-PF. Because if I have to suffer for the sins of my father, if my father was a criminal, it doesn't mean that I'm a criminal. Same as mwana womufundisi, asi mfundisi. Thank you.
Right. No, thank you Tatenda for that. Thank you very much. Twenda ndini Zimbabwe wanga utaura.
Ndambotaura mhofu ndandakasimudza
Okay.
ruoko ndichida kutaura nyaya
Alright.
yekuti pane
Alright, alright, can I just make it quick and ombotaura so that I go now sarambotaura.
Okay, pane mubvunzo wabvunzwa naango vachiti anonzi ani Fadzayi, because vanga vachiti pane vanhu vari kuargiwa kuti she sees herself as a bully. So zvaitwa na minister zviri right because vaita rise to her inonzi zvaanofarira zvekuva bully against others or probably against men or something like that, but I don't see it that way. When I see Fadzayi, if I look at conversations dzaiitika pakati pake naKasukuere nedzakaitika pakati pake naNduna, she was just on point pakuti these are the people, kana chitarisa isusu vanhu vari kunetseka nezvinenge zvichiitika munyika, kuti these are the people who are responsible for our suffering, or they are playing a role, or they were playing a role at some point, right? They were responsible, they were in government, in public offices, and they were public officials at some point, and where we are now as a country, we are there because of them. We are there because at one point or another they were holding these offices, right? So Fadzayi ari kuplay a role yedu tese isusu, people who are voiceless. She is speaking for those people against the people that we think played a role in our demise, to reach a position that we are as a country today, right? So I don't think she is bully. She is just consistent against such people, against such elements vekuti vanenge vachimbopota vachipinda mugovernment, or they play a role within the government. So she's speaking for the people who cannot speak. She's speaking for the people who are somewhere there, who cannot never say a thing, who are in pain, but they cannot express the pain. So she should actually continue. If dai zvaibvumidzwa muzimbabwe sezvinoitwa kusouth africa, kuti malema anosvika paanofesa Ramaphosa kuti iwewe wakanzi uri mbavha iwewe, can you defend yourself? Even if dai zvaibvumidzwa kana itobvunza kana president, tinototi ngaavabvunze. You understand? Because she is standing for us. She is standing for the voiceless. And then lastly, there is always one thing that I always question, Mov. Chitepo school of ideology is one thing that I hate so much to the core. Unfortunately, very sorry to those people who are proud about going to that thing. I hate it so much. I have faced someone and I have met someone who told me kuti kuchitepo kunodzidziswa kuti you don't question your leader. Hazvinei kuti aita sei kana kuti aita sei kana kuti aita sei. You just don't. Because inonzi ideology yacho ndeyekutoti because he is a leader, because he was probably or he is a nationalist or something, you don't need to ask him or to question his decision because he's your elder, right? Mupati or is your leader or something. Which is something that I'm always against. I think at a military school, I learned things that are much better than Kuchitepo school of ideology. And it's painful that we actually abuse the name Chitepo itself. That's the painful thing. Someone who fought for independence and then we come and say, we name the ideology, some idiotic ideology after him. That thing should be power should be just be removed because it dociles someone who needs to ask a particular question which is significant and robust in the day-to-day life of the whole country. But anonzi nyarara iwewe because this one is the leader, this one has got this position and you can't question him. It should be eradicated, that thing. Thank you, Mof.
No, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. Havadi kuvunzwa ndo kwavasingade chaiwo. And you see, if this is how they react to questions, imagine what they do with power behind closed doors. Sound pamberi. But anyway, thank you so much for that, my brother. Can I go to Ayoba, Marvin Cheeks, and then Bento in that order, please?
Okay, thanks Mkoma. Dangu ndikotaura zvangu about Mr. Machakaire. You know, the moment you raise your hand and say, I want to enter into politics, you become a public figure. The moment you raise your hand and say, I want to enter into politics or within the government spheres, you cease to be a private citizen. Number one. Number two, you no longer sanitize from being asked my questions by the public. You become a public figure. You want to know about your integrity, your capacity to lead, your history. Zvese was very important in politics. And honorable, they are no longer a private figure, but a public figure. They decide our policies within the government. History. We want to know your history, your capacity of you leading us. Saka Manje, he became very personal. Because you are privy to scrutiny if you are a political figure. You are a whole minister. Not decide my policies. History I say. That's all I wanted to add on. Thank you.
Thank you, bro. Next speaker, please.
Marvin.
Yep. Marvin, are you speaking? Right. Marvin, I don't know what's okay. Marvin, you still on the speakers though. Okay. Right, Bento. Regarding with Bento. I think I know how this is gonna go. Bento, please take the mic.
Hello, Uncle and Titus. Yeah, I'll be quick.
Blessed are the brief. Yes, Mahere's supposed questions were pot shots aimed at Honorable Machakaire. You know, they are just veiled as, questions. Definitely symptomatic of a bully, someone who lived in privilege, who let the identity crisis growing, now trying to be in self-discovery. You know, Mahere has been spoiled. She lived in Ivory Tower. Went to, it said she went.
But
It
what
is
is
said
Bento? You are doing exactly what your minister is doing. You are now going for the person as well. What does that has
that,
to do with the specific questions that she has asked the minister? You are telling
that those questions were just jibes at
no, they were not
at
jibes. Public funds
the
being looted is not jibes. What do you mean?
nah, nah. We know how these people behave. You know, my area descended on the arena in lightning speed, like a belligerent, very toxic. You know, and she's been going on and on as a bully, but one day she might find herself in a cul-de-sac. She, she did it either. She was trying to be clever by half. You see, we'll see how this goes on when it goes to the courts. Then everything is going to unravel. But I think, yeah, that's how she's been behaving all
Okay.
along.
Can I ask you a
Yeah,
question,
thank you.
Bento?
Yeah,
The
yeah, ask
questions
me.
that she has posed to the minister in terms of the public funds, right? Have you been following some of the discussion?
Yes, I've been following some of the discussions, but knowing my area, I know what was behind all those questions. She was just trying to excite a mob,
So
know.
Bento, in the auditors general, it says 17 cars were paid to, right? And only seven arrived, right? So why then does he go to attack the person asking kuti kodzimwe 10 idzi dzakafamba sei? So what is behind that simple question that has to do with
But
public funds?
but the place you ask those questions and the way you ask those questions,
The
you'll be
place,
trying to imply you'll be trying to imply that someone did something bad in public.
is he not a
You are trying
public
to
figure
bring
though?
it,
Is the minister
putting
not a
you in
public
a
figure?
public figure. It's the way you bring out those things, which matters most. I
So
know
you don't
my
want
area has
to
got a
be
lot of
asked
supporters.
publicly.
I know my area has got a lot of supporters here, but the way does her things at times, the
Bento,
wrong way.
Sorry, Ango Titus, can I ask this gentleman a question, Mr. Bento? Can I ask him a
Okay, go
question?
ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Bento, please, Ndibatireo, how do you expect us as citizens to ask those questions? I can't text the Honorable Machakaire. I can't. If I am to ask you a simple question, kuti Bento, zvamuri makaramba mukadzi, ichokwadi. I'm not, is that an attack? Or I'm asking, it's like a closure. Does that mean you're being attacked? Because kana uri muhurumende tichikubvunza anything regarding to hurumende, or kana wafunga kuita politicians, which means nyaya dzako chero dzemubedroom dzikabuda hauvhiki, because that's how it is. You can't say no. Iwo ukatonzi gore ra1920 uri kunzi une imba iwewe yausina kubhadhara, ndosaka muchiona vanhu chero kudzimwe nyika unonzi iwe akanzi ane matex aakambotiza gore ra13 chakuti. Why? Tell us how did that happen? People they come per stage kubata mic woexplaina wobudisa proof kuti no ndinawo madocuments, havasi mapenzi kana mukaona vachidaro. But that's the reason why you are on a public office. And if those questions come, you have to answer them professionally, wakasungunuka, because it's part of your job kubvunzwa mibvunzo wodavira, because you are a leader. So tikakubvunza kuti zvinhu zvakaoma toita sei, it's like you are a father and things are not well. You need to calm down vana kuti no wait, I got this. we are gonna do this and do this. Kana ukatoona iwo leader uchiti ukabvunzwa kuti baba nhasi todyei wotanga kupopotera kana kuti uri zvidofo iwowo, you have failed, you have failed. So
Right.
did I really expect someone in the public office to be asked my questions? Because muiteka uyu mimi anonzi machiya ekuti tinenge mapresi hamutenderi kai mekubvunzwa, munotanga matodeedza vanhu venyu moti iwe uchabvunza zvakati, iwe uchabvunza zvakati, hamubvunzi zvakati, hamubvunzi. So how do we expect us to come nenyaya dziri kunetsa because hamudi kubvunzwa zvinhu zvacho? So we are now using space yakutoziva kuti hamuna zvamunoita yaElon Musk, toitandisa kukubvunzai sezvo futi imimi you are using that space to update us anything in regards to the government. Ndosaka muchitoona panjoni Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and when you post something, don't you it will
Right.
be that
Right,
will be
Mkoma.
stupid if yeah,
Mkoma.
30 seconds.
Right, Mkoma, mira.
Hey,
Nai
hey.
Bento. Tino Machakaire paakauya pasocial media achishoropodza state yemahospitals kuti hazvisi kunyatsoita akashandisa platform ipi.
Right.
What platform
Okay.
did he use? And how come there is no this kuti the way he presented himself, we know kuti he had nefarious agenda behind it.
Okay, first and foremost, Tatenda, you asked a question and answered yourself, so I pass. Ango, when there's honorable Tino came and complained about the healthcare situation, he didn't attack anyone. He just attacked the state as a whole. He didn't pick up on anyone. If we pick up on Mahere, I know she gets picked, and she does the same thing. She took someone to the courts when she was picked up as a person, when
Were
defamatory
you
statements were made about her. Yeah, so it's normal for people, if they feel picked, they will turn to the law. So this is what
were you guys not were
honorable.
you guys not the same guys who said kuti azviunzirei public platform iye achigara musame cabinet meeting minister of health azviitirei? Were you guys not saying that? Some of you guys, you were saying that. Were you not saying that?
Yes, some unfortunately were saying that, but the honorable did not attack an individual or ask questions which were veiled as questions but pot shots.
Mkoma Bento ndimbokupindura ipapo.
Can you point attack wa honorable?
Mkoma Bento. Fadzayi abvunza questions of national interest.
So who am I answering? Who am I dealing with?
Were you not the head of logistics for Command Agriculture? Toziva kuti paCommand Agriculture pakabiwa mari paCommand. Mari dzakaenda. Tino was the head of that. Atadza kupindura. Hapana kunzi Fadzayi aita kuita personal. Iye Machakaire atadza kupindura. He became personal akutaura zvema-sex escapades. But nemutemo kuZimbabwe futi, any public figure in politics inofanira kudeclare ma-assets since 2018. But as well, we cannot go back and ask you how did you attain such assets. Munozvibvuma here Mkoma Bento izvozvo?
That's the same as we will go on and on.
He's a public figure. He should answer to questions that of public.
It was an insinuation that honorable Tino Machakaire is a foodista, he's a crook, he's corrupt, and at the same time, the same way why we don't ask Mahere how she got into the law school, we don't do the same. So yeah, we don't.
Okay. I think that from Beremberi. Let's move forward. Thank you so much, Baba Juju.
Yes. Host na co-host Manyama Morisei. The problem is Vanunya Bifi ran more than 6 years. Ukaenda pa page ya Mahere ukataipa kuti Machakaire, the first post inobva muna June 2019. And for context, in 2019 the ZANU-PF Youth League yakapa a list of vanhu vainzi vari kusabotage economy vari corrupt, and Machakaire was there, was included in that list. Ndo pakatanga Mahere kubvunza kuti musaka muri kuti Machakaire ari corrupt. That was in 2019. Then again in 2021 akabva ataka futi achibvunza nyaya yecommand agriculture something. Then the latest one it's all about Aguirre. What am I saying? Machakaire pakapa chi post chake chachiti hey clinic chichi hey this that. After that Mahere akabva abvunza zvikanzi aiwa izviitira muri kuita kumana because muda kurova mari pane zvoda kuitika. That's how all these things began. But ipapo manje Machakaire akangwara haana kuti sei haana kureply. But zvazoitika manje ndezvekuti honorable vazorohwa brain because uyu Mahere anenge achingojunga. Saka honorable what was supposed to do was not to reply because munhu and minister. So zvazoita manje ndezvekuti azotaya kuda kuzvidefenda, of which pakuzvidefenda ari kudhila nelawyer because lawyer manje rinenge harisi kumuataka directly, riri kubvunza already wakanzi uri apa wakadai wakanzi wakadai, hasi kumuti wakaba mari oro wakaita chakati oro wakaita chakati, ari kuti zvoni ari kubvunza ezi munhu arida kuuya ari kuda accountability. But problem yazoitwa manje na minister vedu ava ndisi vangu level rechikoro kuti rakamira sei. Minister vapinda personally because how can you declare kuti zvoni munhu akatengerwa Jaguar nekuti anga ararwa naye? Seriously guys, we are kutarisira vakadzi pasi. A learned person, a lawyer munhu ane 40 years, a lawyer, munhu anobva family iri nani womuti atengerwa mota nekuti ararwa naye. It doesn't make sense kuti nyaya dzisavarume. Saka nyaya yekuti, and the same thing happened naSevia naFadzi vakaita nyaya dzavo again vakuita nyaya yebed hopping yausina evidence wanga uri peri. Were you there? Unongovhunzwa ndorai ndakarara nanhingi wanga uri peri because nyaya dzemubedroom idzi. So kana vakurizota to that level munhu waminister, haiwa varume, it's not nice. Ngatiratidze kurespecta vakadzi. And way forward boss Fadzayi zvoni aiwa ndichiita warm up akomana, I'm still warming up because she can attack and we know that she can. Nyaya dzekurarararwara dzivi, pane mukadzi musikana anonzi Petai Ameno akati zvoni Mahere ada mutorera murume, and we know how this issue was handled. So please be careful. And in this case hangu hapana apology because what the lawyers are saying is that they need an official apology. Hanzi advocate vanofana kuuya onyora especially pano paX wotaura apologizing for what, because havana kuataka munhu directly apo. iye Tino ndafana kutouya okumbira regerero especially panyaya yekuti vakadzi sure mukadzi wese atenga mota ararwa naye here nako man. Okay, thank you.
I think it's always easy kuuza munhu wechikadzi kuti wakararana ningi as if sex is abnormal. Munhu wese we are all adults here. Everybody have sex. Well, most of the people are normal. So there's nothing weird about having sex or munhu akararana ningi. But anyway, thanks Baba Juju. Rigatumbonzwa a lady's voice before I go to the next. So Lisa Zimbo.
Hello, Mascara say everyone. Hello, everyone. How are you?
We are good. How are you?
I'm okay, thanks, Titus and Mkoma Jedza. I loved when I saw Uncle Jedza put up this advert for this space, and I was like, it's gonna be kind of interesting. Without a lot to say, it just reminded me of my dad, who used to say, facts are stubborn, you know. But when I look at Fadzayi Mahere, I think she's a very I don't know whether maybe to other men that's why they resort to attacking her, because she's a very articulate lady, and I guess because of her profession, because the people usually people usually go into professions according to their values and ethics and stuff like that. So I believe she's a person who believes in fairness. At the same time, she's got humility and integrity as well. So, and I think the likes of people like Sevia Kasukuere and these Machakaire people, they have nothing to actually lean on versus Mahere. I'm really sorry to say that, gents, even most of you here, I think she's a very, very, very articulate person who's intelligent, and she thinks on her toes, and sadly nobody's gonna take that away from her. And I just hope that she's gonna sue these guys pants off, and I hope the courts are gonna be by her side, and overlook that. Well, she's been asking all the critical questions and everything regarding the country's wealth and all that. And another little thing, one last thing I wanted to add was that seeing Advocate Mahere and the family that she actually came from, which was a ZANU PF connected family, I think she perhaps didn't want. I don't know. I can never speak for her, but I think, as I've mentioned, she's somebody who's got people's best interests at heart. She's warm, even though she's tough. Yes, you have to be tough sometimes, even when you are a lady, and stand up against what you don't believe in. And I think she's that kind of a person. I don't have much to say, but thanks. It's quite interesting listening to all the submissions. I yield. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lisa Zimbo. Yes, definitely, she's a tough cookie. Even if you look at the consistency of 5 a.m. club, I see your 5 and gym and do it consistently. She just she is a very, very consistent.
Iron Lady of Zimbabwe, and she's really got really, really good leadership qualities, and I think she's actually gonna go far. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. No, thank you for that. Marvin, can you speak now? Marvin Chiggs. Marvin going once. Marvin going twice. Right. I think Marvin is not there. Okay. Mary, I see you, my advocate. Edu, advocate here, and Tatenda. I'll come to you quickly. Can I go to Gilo?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Jed, as well. Yeah, I was just following and going through my posts just to refresh. Like everybody said, I'm just gonna say few things that also intersect kutanga kwaita nyaya and acting panyaya command agriculture. I think that's the one I thought all this thing had to go into a full blown because the Machakaire, what's his name? Machakaire was the deal he had that tin mark because according to the lawyer's paper, it's about tax invasion, right? Am I correct? Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. We can hear you. You're not quite clear, but we can hear you. Go ahead.
Yeah. So according to I know it's been said before that what the other advocate was trying to do is just for the sake of the public, right? So according to just like that happened before, it seeks to protect freedom of expression in media. You know, so Machakaire, I don't see. The only thing I might think is since Makoto is very biased already, don't I will use a strength. He would have be advocate. That's the only play which because otherwise when you go to the law itself, hapana kana anything chekuti akakanisa chii because she's holding the, just like somebody said, she's holding a public figure, accountable. Because as somebody said before, if I take a picture of a public figure, and even when we go anywhere in the world, you can manipulate and put on AI, but you cannot do it with Zimbabwe. There's a lot of pictures, a lot of guys, you might do anything in my picture, but knowing them, you end up being in jail or end up being my courts. So I think ingori intimidation with other wings are my courts so that they try to do something. But holding the law, this is covered under the constitution, section 61, cover everything to do with it. So I just lay on that.
Right. So, in other words, there's no defamation, as according to the honorable who is claiming that. Okay, thank you, Mkomajilo.
Okay, thanks.
Thank, thank you for that. Right, Advocate Ebed, can I just give you a minute?
No, it's fine. I'll just present in a minute. You see, Uncle Jed asked a question earlier about the retraction being asked Advocate Mahere to do. And my question would be, these lawyers, are they asking Advocate Mahere to retract questions? I don't know how it works in legal terms. If somebody is asking a question and you are asking them to retract, because all Mahere did was to ask questions. So when you are going to say apologize and retract, what exactly is she retracting? Questions? When did questions become a problem? And when did questions become defamation of character? And secondly, my observation as well with the lawyers, varume maloya unogona kuya nenyaya zviya zviyaka. Lawyers are also there to make money as consultants. Lawyers, first and foremost, are consultants who want to make money. So when you come with an issue which is a non-legal issue, they accept money. And I think Machakaire was set up by his lawyer. I don't believe a competent lawyer wouldn't be aware that AIPA was repealed. Come on, guys. This lawyer, committed this error willingly and deliberately, knowing that by doing that, is going to weaken Machakare's case. And then he comes back and say, "Oh, I made an error." So this is how Machakaire has actually been set up. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to say lawyers unscrupulous individuals. What I'm saying is, what we see here is a typical case of a lawyer wasting a client's time. Sometimes lawyers are human beings as well, and they know that there is no issue here, but they'll go ahead with it. As I'm going to land, I would like to say I won't be disappointed. Not disappointed, I won't be surprised if Advocate Fadzayi Mahere goes to court to sue Honorable Machakaire, and the courts dismiss Advocate Mahere's lawsuit. Why? Because Machakaire is ZANU-PF, is connected to the president, and that's why he did what he did to go on and drag Advocate Mahere in the mud and defame her. Unfortunately, this is where our country is. That's why we keep on fighting for reform, in the judiciary, politically and so forth. Because Machakaire is a person, he might not be a lawyer. He should be aware that what he is doing on X would cost him. But because he's so confident of the conflation between the judiciary and the executive, that's why he's done what he's done. He's going to get away with it, unfortunately. But if the courts were so independent and there was no political interference, I'm sure Machakaire would really live to regret the day that he did what he did. That's my take. Thank you so much for hosting me, Uncle Jed and Titus. Thank you.
Oh, no, thank you for that, Herbert. And I wonder what's the court of the public opinion. I think my points are they are quite relevant in terms of what we have here. How people can be protected. I think you quite nailed it there. Could even if it was to be turned back, the defamation is actually happening to Advocate Mahere instead. How far would that go? Because like you rightly said, what's being, I don't know if this case has actually been filed, Uncle Jet, or it's just the Chirungo remove social media. Is it actually Machakaire is actually
No,
filed?
no, inotangira pakuti timbotaurirana.
Right.
Tongopaiwa kana 24 hours kana 12 days kana 2 weeks. Kuti pa 2 weeks ipapapa mutitiro zvakati. Failure to do that takuescalate nyaya kupi kumatare dzimhosva. Saka
Right.
apa I think tichiri pastage yekutaurirana.
Right. Right.
Tiri pastage yekutaurirana because hapana filing yaitwa mukoti. Matsamba emukoti ndofunga munoaziva anenge ane chidhindo chekukoti. Akanzi respondent versus chichichi. Apa ingori tsamba chete is a legal document that has been
Hmm.
sent to and Fadzayi Mahere.
Right. Right. Okay, no, no, I understand. I understand. When I put a comment on that story when it was revolving, I heard about two people that came to me my inbox. They could say, "I'm ofusiyana nayo nyaya, vanhu vanozivana." Vanhu vekuti ndotaura navo, but I felt kuti they were trying to silence me as well, not to get involved. But I thought it's a public story where everyone is just commenting, and Nyangwe, even if the courts decide otherwise, I think there will always be a public opinion. And I think a lot has been exposed there. Questions are now there, to be asked. And for whatever happens, I think Minister Machakaire has got questions to answer. Whether he answers them or he silences Fadzayi, that's a different thing. But I think, according to us, the public, there are now questions to be asked. And I think she's setting a very good example, Ango Fadzi, because when we ask the responsible ministers, Zimbabwe, everybody knows what's happening in Zimbabwe. So if an ordinary person can be able to ask questions to these ministers, because Akavunza one, if they try and silence one person, but if everybody asks the same question, they are not going to be able to silence everybody to ask. So I think it just makes them accountable kuti tinzwe kuti mari the pace of the government zviri kufamba sei. So I think Fadzayi is setting a very, very good precedent for all the upcoming advocates, lawyers, and people, even young Zimbabweans, to see. I think those are relevant questions and they need to be answered. But anyway,
Akaipa.
Pakaipa.
But your point yangaitaurwa Bento, Bento atizvo knowing Fadzi ane kwaanga ari kuenda. How then do you become a substitute yaFadzi at that particular moment in time when she was typing? You occupy a mind, you occupy Fadzi, and you became knowledgeable of what was occupying her mind. I failed to understand that. Ndozvakangofanana nekuti malawyers aari kuti wakati we need new leaders wangoshandisa innuendo to defame our client, because in some way every question that you asked, it is laced with an accusation of being a thief, of being a corrupt person, of being this, of being this, of being this. So as a result of that innuendo, quasi innuendo, or innuendo as they put it, it is their belief and it is the insistence of their client that Fadzayi was defaming him, and therefore Fadzayi must retract, must apologize. This is where I'm failing. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, and I know Hangu Guti innuendo, as long as it is fitting, a particular, context, it can be, looked at it from a defamation point of view. But I'm not Zangu, well versed in that law, yeah, defamation. But for them to less what Fadzayi has said, kubvunza kuti is it true that you investigated over US 8 million? and then you translate that to be unaccused of being in corrupt. Is it true that pani motikari dzakadai, I translate that would under accuser to be a thief? Where are we going to be drawing the line? So should people, okay, let us just let's remove Fadzi from the equation. Let's put in the blessed a true journalist. So my this my journalist get a true journalist. Akabvunza mvunzo wewe, what is it that is going to happen?
Vanomunyudza. Havadi kubvunzwa.
Definitely.
But anywho,
Right. No, no, thanks for putting that angle. Saka, Babatona Zaya, Msad Mataura, Sabugu Dobs, Msad Mataura, Ron Plus, 13 Kings, Rashi. Martina, unozo taurere. Okay. I'm not so sure Martin Wataura. Okay. Can I go to Ron Plus, then to end up kuna Sabugu Dobs, then Babatono Zaya?
Andina, amene muri panguva
All
izvozvo.
right. Chitanga iwe Martin.
Right, inotaura 1 minute.
Ande nacho. Taura ako Martin.
Right, inotaura 1 minute. What I'm going to speak about Mahere, Fadzayi. Fadzayi was a Fadzayi is a political figure who was associated to CCC.
All right. Martin, are you Uchiribo?
I'm still there, but the voices I'm talking is still, yeah. So what I'm saying is Fadzayi was a
A
Njiribo,
political figure that was associated with Triple C.
right?
And the Remberi.
Right. Ndidhose mumashure because mavhoisi angu akudzoka zvakare. Yeah. Saka Fadzayi is not from a poor family. She can buy a Rolls Royce, right? She can buy a Rolls Royce. He doesn't require a man to buy a car. So she's not a desperate lady, but she's calling for she's calling for new leadership in Zimbabwe, and I think she's correct.
Right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I think she's correct.
You think she's correct?
So don't put her on those Chakaire or whatever type of diplomacy. We need a proper Zimbabwe.
Right. We need a proper Zimbabwe. Okay. Martin, are you done with your minute?
I think you can give other space.
All right. No, thank you. Anzina Martin Fadzayi.
Well, we don't want Gandanga anymore. Yeah, no, my minutes are okay.
Okay. Right. I think you've made your points. I think we've heard your points, Martin. Thank you. Thank you so much. You said Fadzai doesn't need anyone to buy a car. She can afford her own car, and that's in other words. All right. Thank you, Martin. Marvin, Waiter, unmute. Can you speak now? Marvin, go on. Marvin, double try. I think I think you got something wrong with your network because as soon as I go to the next speaker, Marvin, you're unmuting. So can I give you like 10 seconds to try and unmute Shakaramba? Then maybe I'll drop you. Don't know to Chichurwit. Marvin, Marvin Cheeks. Right. Okay. Right. And kuna Ron Plus. Ron Plus, please take the mic. Ron Plus. Okay. If Ron Plus is not there, twenda kuna Sabu Dobbs. Sabu.
Hi. Hello.
Yes.
Okay. Am I
Yes,
still
you
the
can go
next one?
ahead, Ron Plus.
Okay. Thank you. I'll be very brief. 2 or 3 issues. What is happening here? I follow Fadzi a lot. I mean, she's the most informative person online. Most of the things or most of the scandals that we hear when Fadzi comes up to discuss it, she gives you evidence of what is happening. Like when she talks about most of these tenders to Chivayo or Tagire, she puts evidence online. She's not one to talk about, to gossip about anything. And yes, like most of us said, she is not just eloquent, she is brilliant. And she's on the case. She knows what she talks about. She has facts and the evidence, I suppose, based on where she has worked. She has been a parliamentarian and she knows how to get that information, or she has contacts. She is always giving us, I mean, she's giving, besides information, most of these scandals, we hear them from people like her. She's never disappointed. So as I thought, what is happening with this young man, it's not just him, it's the entire ZANU PF cohort. What she is doing, what they're doing, this is about intimidation. They're trying to silence one of the strongest voices that we have as citizens of Zimbabwe. And as one sister of mine here said, that she would be, I mean, if there is a go fund, she will be the first one to go. I think we need to stand with Fadzi, no matter what. I did respond to this Machakaire guy, and another lady, I think from abroad, was also on Fadzi's case, talking about her being entering the university through the back door. I'd asked for evidence, and also if that happens, who negotiated the backdoor arrangement? That would be the university's problem. If anyone did that, not Fad's problem. So the university should be answerable. So guys, this is intimidation. This is silencing Fadzi, maybe our best voice, and we need to stand with her. And yeah, like most people said, the courts in Zimbabwe do not work for the state or the Ministry of Justice. They work for ZANU-PF. And Machakaire knows kutaka chibata kutidri. But I think Fadzi will not be intimidated and we will be standing with her. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Fadzi will not be intimidated and will stand with her. All right. Thank you for that, Ron Plus. Sabu, good jobs. Sabu. Sabu, vari kumbotonga nyaya here kumushaka. Right.
Can I
Okay.
just quickly make a quick submission? Don't drop.
Just just come after Babaton Uzai, Tatenda. Just give
Okay.
Babaton Uzai, then you come after him. Babaton Uzai.
Maswera sei mofu na uncles
taswera.
pa ya tinotenda nechiro